Dr. Anne Webster, member for Mallee, thanks for joining us on Flow.
You're very welcome. Good to talk to you.
Now, there's been a lot of positive sentiment. We'll bring some agricultural data later in the morning show, and on flownews24.com.au, some agriculture data showing that dairy and many other sectors are going along well. Is that what you're hearing in your electorate? Is farming looking pretty positive?
It is looking pretty positive, and I've got to say the prospect of rains, good rains, over the next few months is also incredibly encouraging.
Yep, and the target that I think the National Farmers Federation are on about, I believe the National Party's been on about it as well, the party you represent in Mallee, about reaching $100 billion of agricultural production by 2030. All of the seasonal conditions are pointing to maybe we could get there.
Look, I think so. I mean, obviously, it's not just about productivity itself. It's about access to markets. It's about the export prices. And generally speaking, things like how much we've got access to those markets. So, look, there's a lot of work to be done, and a lot of work has been done. Obviously, the UK free trade agreement is a really positive step forward, and we'll see good exports out of Australia over time. In up to 99% of our products should be able to be exported overseas to the UK, which is great.
And you've got a pretty diverse agricultural and horticultural production area in your electorate. And when it comes to wine, for instance, we know that when China imposed tariffs, that things became really hard in that sector. But governments have done their level best to try and help find new markets for products like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, barley's another.
That's right, yeah.
But the barley story was a nightmare as it was occurring. And even though the barley prices, one farmer said to me this week, well, the barley prices that we ended up getting weren't what China was paying. Yes, I understand that. But most farmers were really pleased with the outcome of the change in barley export to diverse markets. And that's the way forward, ultimately. As we've heard, there's been a lot of talk about trade and about China over the last probably 6 months or more. And, the government is working really hard to ensure that more markets open up.
And speaking of China, I know the leader of the National Party at this point, Mr. Barnaby Joyce, has had a fair bit to say about China. Speaking of the Nationals, it's been a week or a fortnight where there's been a lot of talk about the Nationals and regional policy. Surely that's a good thing.
I think it's a polarising subject. As I've gone around the electorate this week, I can assure you, there are some who are really pleased, and there are some who are just very unhappy. I've had some pretty frank discussions with the new Deputy Prime Minister and expectations for Mallee. He's intending to come down here in the next few weeks, so obviously we'll be talking about that, and we'll no doubt get him on your show.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that there will be more pressure placed on the portfolios and the ministers who hold those portfolios. Obviously, Bridget McKenzie has a wide range of portfolios now. And David Littleproud has been doing a good job. I haven't heard criticism or very much, if at all, actually, about his work. So, I look forward to working with the new ministers. I think probably the key disappointment is that the water and resources portfolio did not stay in cabinet. I think that is a mistake, and that is what I'm hearing across the board.
Yeah, we're hearing that as well, certainly hearing it from South Australia, among other places. But interesting what you say there. When we talk about water, we chatted recently about the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and the extra 450 gigalitres of water. And I come back to that target of $100 billion in agricultural production by 2030. From memory, we're about 66 billion at the moment. So we've got a big climb. About a third of that has to increase in the next 7 or 8 years. Now, the Murray-Darling Basin is about 40% of Australia's agriculture, and we're potentially retiring another 450 gigalitres of productive water.
Yeah, look, the 450 gig is obviously controversial, and you would be aware that the Nats, and I was standing with the Senators Bridget McKenzie and Perrin Davey and my colleague in the House, Damien Drum, to put up 4 amendments. And one of them was that the 450 GL would not be taken from the consumptive pool. And in fact, there has been policy developed over a period of time, and all those who have their heads around water would know that the policy is to not cause social or economic damage to any of the basin communities by taking out that 450 was critical. And it's MinCo effectively came to the conclusion, well, it'll never be taken out because it is going to cause damage. So what we were seeking to do was to actually just put that in legislation so that any future governments of different ilks could not then go back and open up the plan and, take more from the consumptive pool.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, that triple bottom line that's often been talked about making sure there's no negative social, economic or environmental impacts from the recovery of water.
Exactly. And look, the 605 is what remains to be taken with infrastructure projects from the states. We were seeking to have that period of time extended from 2024 and to give some flexibility because some of the states are not going to be able to achieve their infrastructure targets. Obviously, we didn't want any more of those targets to be taken on farm, but rather off farm. And so, look, it was simply a matter of tidying up what was the direction that we're going anyway and ensuring stability and some confidence for our ag sector and for those who care about our environment, which is all of us, including farmers.
Yeah, and where possible, if we can keep water in a productive use so that we can get to that 100 billion productivity target by 2030, we should be, and just try and make more efficient use of the water we have got.
Oh, look, absolutely. And look, farmers, they are just extraordinary to me, that not only the farmers, but of course our research and development organisations like Birch Cropping Group and Mallee Sustainable Farming and others who work incredibly hard to ensure that less water is required to yield better crops. And I've heard that in the last couple of weeks, that there have been some significant steps forward. And I shouldn't say figures that I'm not absolutely sure of, but I think it was 25% less water and 40% more production, something like that. So, I mean, there are significant steps that are being made by the farming community, by the ag sector, and that needs to be applauded.
Yes, absolutely. Now, on the local front, you were at the opening of the Dimboola Community Centre yesterday, I believe. Can you tell us a bit of the backstory of your involvement in that?
Yeah, look, we had provided funding through the Community Development Program, $600,000, which went to, I remember standing actually on the bitumen out the back of the Dimboola Community Hall, and it was pretty sad looking actually. It's between, the hall has bitumen between it and the river, and now of course there is a beautiful library with gorgeous views out towards the river. The whole thing's been refurbished with state funding and federal funding, and it was fantastic to be down there to open the show and also to meet Bonza. I've got to say, for those in Dimboola, they know Bonza, a large turkey who wanders the streets, and to see him running down after his master Jamie yesterday was just hilarious.
That's good. It didn't remind you of anything you see in Canberra?
I best not comment.
I did give you a free hit there. Now, you've also got some positive news to share about at the Natimuck community, something happening in the arts that you've been involved in as well. Yes.
Now, the Natimuck Arts Biennial the Fringe Biennial have received funding, $70,000 to put on a show, which I don't have in front of me, but I believe it's the Bamboo space. So it's a fantastic project, and when I rang the organiser yesterday to let her know, she was over the moon. So, it's great to see our regional arts groups being funded, because they've really done it hard, as our hospitality has and our travel, tourism sectors. So, yeah, look, it was just great. It should be wonderful. Hope I get to see it.
Good work on the local front, and good to talk to you about what's happening in the regional farming and communities that are looking forward to a productive year on the land. More rain coming, hopefully, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again, Dr. Anne Webster.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank